हमारे पास आईडी ना, वो ज्वाइन करेंगे।
ठीक है। एक्चुअली वो फॉलो करना चाहिए।
बलभद्र कृपा प्रभु। Balabhadra Kripa Prabhu.
Yes, Proji.
Any issue with the setup?
What, Proji?
No issues with the setup, right?
एक मिनट। Yes, Proji.
No issues with the setup, right?
No, Proji.
Okay.
Suppose और Kamal Vachan to join?
I don't know, Prabhu. I just joined and.
Because there is no mention, name is not coming. Name is not coming. Can you just check with him, bro, and request him to use earphone? I tell him what you can convey.
Achha. You want me to check with him?
Please,
okay.
He can use earphone, so the voice can be proper.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. All right.
Hare Krishna Prabhu ji, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam Prabhu. काय प्रभूजी तुमचं ते आज आहे ना क्लास भक्तियोगाचा आहे, तुमचं काही रिस्पॉन्स नाहीये, कसं करणार प्रभूजी? हो किंवा नाही, मी अवेलेबल आहे, आम्ही वाट पाहतो तुमची. मेसेजचा हिडन मेसेज होतो, हिडन मेसेज आहे, हिडन. ऑनलाईन अटेंड करणं तुमचं. पहिला मेसेज मिळेल, प्लीज कन्फर्म युअर अवेलेबिलिटी. लिहिलेलं आहे.
Balabhadra Kripa Prabhu. Prabhu, Kanai Krishna Das here.
Hare Krishna.
Balabhadra Kripa Prabhu.
हो 305 ला या. हरे कृष्ण. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, Kamal Lochan Prabhu is not responding to the call.
Okay. So we have to wait for him.
Yeah, we'll wait and again try after 2-3 minutes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Kanai Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Maximum around 27 devotees are online. So can you start addressing or we have to wait for him?
Actually, I just want to welcome him, and then once we just officially welcome him, he can go ahead and get started. So let him come.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I don't have anything to share as such. I just want to welcome Prabhuji.
Because maximum devotees are online only now. Around 30 devotees.
Is Prabhuji going to share any documents or anything?
We not yesterday not talk anything about it.
Okay, he didn't say anything. Fine,
Yes,
fine. Just Bhagavatam we can straight away read from.
yes, Prabhuji. Because if we share PPT also on Prabhuji, so here we can project, but simultaneously sharing with the other devotee it will take a lot of time.
Yes.
Balabhadra Kripa, sorry to interrupt.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Actually, PPT sharing is very easy through Zoom.
I'm sharing Prabhuji, but yesterday also I faced some problem in my personal meeting.
Normally, it happens very easily. Share screen करना रहता है बस.
Yes, Prabhu, I know that. If you say something, I will try to share.
Okay, bro.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. ये पास आउट हो चुके हैं ना इनको कुकिंग के सेवा का भी बोल रहे थे
Balabhadra Kripa Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Is there any other way like WhatsApp or anything to check with Prabhuji? Because call he is not responding surely. You have any communication like WhatsApp or anything that Prabhu can?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, then we'll have to wait for him. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. सब डिटेल मैसेज क्या है डिवोटी पूछ रहे वेन्यू क्या है नहीं क्यों ऐसा पूछ रहे थे एक बोल रहे वेन्यू का है और बोल रहे कमल लोचन को आ रही है अंदर क्या प्रोसेस है इसमें आप बता देंगे हरे कृष्णा प्रभू, अजून सेशन सुरू नाही झालं प्रभूजी. तुमचं मला वाटलं तुमचं अगोदर कोणता वाणी वपू दर्शन होईल, नंतर वाणी दर्शन होईल असं वाटतं. मला वाटलं वरदराज पोहोचता येतील का. असं का? नाही ना. मी सेशन देत नाहीये. सेशन देतील का कमलपासून पण ऑर्गनाईज करतोय. तुम्ही म्हटलं वरदराज तुमचा आशीर्वाद घ्यायचा अगोदर, त्यानंतर सुरू करायचं. चालेल. हरे कृष्ण. चालेल. येस प्रभूजी. रूममेट्स ना. येस प्रभूजी. हरे कृष्ण. हरे कृष्ण प्रभू. दंडवत प्रणाम. हरे कृष्ण. दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभू. Because we are waiting for you. Have you joined the meeting? Okay. Prabhuji, one more request. Can you use earphones so voice can be more clear? Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Because please, please. So all that we surround main 34 devotees are online only. All remaining come. So when you start in connect, people will introduce you, and then you can start the session.
We already have the devotees assembled, Prabhu. Prabhu.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kamal Lochan Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Yes, I am Kanai Krishna Das, just coordinating this Bhakti
Yes.
Vaibhav program here at Pune. So I am also right now not in Pune. I am at Vrindavan, but we all, most of us have joined you on the Zoom call.
Yeah.
And most of them are here, Prabhuji. So I just wish to take this opportunity to welcome you on behalf of all the Bhakti Vaibhav participants of congregation as well as Brahmachari batch at Pune. And thank you so much for making yourself available for this session, Prabhuji. We are all locked down and happy that we can hear from you. It's really sthane sthita shruti gata antanu angmanobi. Wherever you are situated. Yes. And I'm very happy that you could make yourself available on Zoom because, yeah, we have been desperately looking for our next unit to continue. Already we cancelled one unit last month, but we are happy and fortunate that you have agreed for this. So very much welcome to you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Yes, Prabhu, you can start. Kamal Lochan, Prabhu.
गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये निर्प्रलम्बारसाम्भोधे सदा भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। जयतां सुरतोर्भङ्गुर् मामन्दमतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्वापदाम्भोजो राधा मदन मोहनो दिव्यद्वृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमादः श्रीमद्रत्नागार सिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद्राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवो दष्ट्रालिभिस्सेव्यमानस्मरामि। श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भे वंशीवटतटस्थित कर्षं वेणुसनेर्गोपीर् गोपीनाथः श्रीयस्तुनः तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So welcome all of you to this Bhakti Vaibhav session. I was asked to discuss on chapter 4, 5 and 6 of the first canto. So before we go to actual subject matter, we'll chant the verses written by Sripad Sanatana Goswami in the Krishna Ilastava. In the Krishna Ilastava, the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sarvashastrabdi Piyusha Sarvavedika Sutpala Sarvasiddhantaratnadhya Sarvalokaika Dikprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidvanto Didaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Pathanya Srinavatakayate Sarvandha Sarasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namaste. Madekabandho Matsangin Madguru Mahadana Manistaraka Madbhakya Madanando Namostute Asadu Saduta Adayin Natini Chostaraka Anaman Chakada Chinnam Premnath Kanthayo. So, yeah, Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll have a brief recap from what we had done in the previous sessions. First 3 chapters are over. And the Bhagavatam starts with 3 verses of invocation by Vyasa, where Vyasa, he says, he talks about the lakshanas of the absolute truth, the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. We know subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam is Satyam Param. And who is that Satyam Param? The Satyam Param is none other than Krishna himself, Hari Param. What is being described in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam as Satyam Param? Who is that Satyam? Who is that absolute truth? That is described in the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Pranamami Hari Param. Namasankirtanam Yasya. In that verse, which is the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, we find the Hari Param word coming. The very first verse of Bhagavatam, we find Satyam Param. Then who is that Satya? Who is that truth? He is Hari. That is why when the Devatas, when they see Devaki, so Devaki, she is carrying Krishna in a room, and then say, you are Satya, you are Satyam. Tadhidam Satya, Satyam, Satyavaram, Satyavratam. Like this they go on talking with Krishna, you are the truth. So absolute truth, Krishna is absolute truth, Satyam Param. But he has got some other lakshanas called Janmadhyasataha, Anvayantartaha, Artheshu Vignaha, Swarat. This first verse you must have already discussed about. And you know there are 2 lakshanas which are described in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. One is known as the Surup Lakshana of Krishna and the Tadastha Lakshana of Krishna. The Surup Lakshana of Krishna is described in Satyam Param, and Tatastha Lakshanas are described in the other words in the verse, that is Janmadhyasya, Anvayajdattaha, Arteshu Vignaha, Swarat, like that. Then what is the result of hearing Bhagavatam? That you came to in the next verse, that is Tapatrayon Mulanam Hridyavarudhyate Shushu Takshana. As soon as you hear Bhagavatam, all the Tapatrayas are gone, and Krishna can be bound in your heart. You can bind Krishna in your heart. Shushushvi Takshanat. Immediately Krishna becomes bound in the heart of a devotee who hears Bhagavatam. Then who can actually reach Bhagavatam? Muhuro Rasika Bhavuka Bhuvhavuka. To go on drinking the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam till you are tired, and after that also. Till you leave the body, till you die, you go on hearing Bhagavatam. And then after also, you can go on hearing Bhagavatam. Till you attain liberation, also you hear Bhagavatam. Further you go on hearing Bhagavatam. In this way, Rasamalayam has been described. Then we know how Bhagavatam has been described as written by, as spoken by Sutta Goswami. So Vyasa, he writes that version of Bhagavatam, which is spoken by Sutta Goswami. So he takes us to Naimisharanya. So in Naimisharanya, Naimshe Nishakshetre, Vishaya Sonakadaya, Satram Sargaya Lokaya, Sahasra Samasata. So the 88,000 rishis are sitting in Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunak Rishi, and they are asking questions to Sutta Goswami. So in the beginning, there is a description of how they made Sutta Goswami sit on a Vyasasana. Satkritam Sudam Asinam Praprachritam Adarat. They asked, Prapracha. Naradam Pariprapracha, Praprachur, and Prichami Tvam Dhanosamudade Cheta, whether Bhagavatam or Ramayana or Bhagavad Gita, starts with this question. Praprachritam Adarat. So with great respect, they started asking questions to Sutta Goswami. So we know these questions asked by Sutta Goswami are 6 in number. So these 6 questions are very interesting questions. The first question is the same question asked by Arjuna to Krishna. Yashri Hasya Nishitam Bruitanme. These people are also asking a question to Sutta Goswami, saying that Pumsam Ekanta Shreya Tanna Samstu Marmasi. Tell that one thing which is Pumsam Ekanta Shreyas. Something which is Pumsam Ekanta Shreya. Ekanta Shreya means that one thing which is beneficial for all the people in the world. Second question they asked is that Yenatma Suprasiti Burini Buri Karmani Shrotavyani Bhavasha Atasabjya Saram Samudra Panishaya Buri Padraya Bhutanam Yenatma Suprasiti. What is that one thing by which the soul is satisfied? The third question is that Jato Eshichikirshya, Devakyam Vasudevasya Jato Eshichikirshya. How did Krishna took birth in the womb of Devaki and Vasudeva and did so many pastimes? Why did he do that? Fourth question was Nilayada Tattakalaha. Jakya Rayir Dhiman Avatar Katashubham. So Krishna takes many incarnations, and we want to know about Krishna, who is the source of all Kala avatars. We want to know how Krishna manifests in the form of Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesha. Now, the fourth question asked was this. The fifth question was, we want to know about Leela Avatar. We want to know about Krishna's pastimes. What kind of pastimes? Leela Avatar. You know very well there are 6 kinds of avatars, out of which one category of avatar is known as Leela Avatar. You want to know about Leela Avatar. And then the 6th question was that Krishna has gone to his abode. Swam Kashtam Anno Vede Dharmaha Tam Sharanam Gata. So Krishna went to his abode and Dharma Jnana, he took away Dharma and Jnana along with him. Swam Kashtam Anno Vede, when he went to his abode, Dharmaha Tam Sharanam Gata. Where did Dharma take shelter of? These are the 6 questions he asked. And now what happened is, while describing the answer to these 6 questions, Sutta Goswami, he first pays obeisances to his spiritual master, Sukadeva Goswami. Yasvanubhavam Kilashutidaramekam Adhyatmiktirshtam tamondam sansarinam karunaya purana pusham tam vyasuram guru muninam. Then he goes on, equation says Narayana Manuskritam. And then he says, to ask about the one thing which is going to satisfy the entire world, which is going to be beneficial to the entire world, he says, Yat kritaha Krishna samprashno. The very question you asked, that itself is satisfying the entire world. Yat kritaha Krishna samprashno. Inatma suprasiti. So only by that thing, Atma will be satisfied. Savai pumsan paro dharmo eto bhakti dokshaje. Ahetukiya pratita yatma suprasidati. In this way, first two questions were answered in these two verses. Now the third question was, why did Krishna take incarnation? What is the purpose behind Krishna's incarnation? And that is answered in the last words of the second chapter. If you go to the last verse of the second chapter, there it is clearly described that Krishna appears in this world with a purpose. So what is the purpose? The purpose is to attract all the people, and he wants to take his own life. This is the purpose of Krishna's appearance. So in the second chapter, last verse, that is the answer to the question number 3. That is, why did Krishna appear in this world? So this verse goes like this: Lokataryan Radishu Bhagavatyesha Satvena Lokan Vai Loka Bhavanaha Lila Avataranato Devataryan Radishu Bhagavatyesha Satvena Lokan Vai Loka Bhavanaha. Lokan Vai Loka Bhavana, to create the bhavana, devotion towards him in the condition, so Krishna appears. Then the fifth question which they asked was that we want to hear about the avatars of the Lord. Especially we want to hear about the avatars in which he appears as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha. And that is described in the second chapter, Sattvam Radasmiti Prakritir Guneste Yukta Paramapurusha Ekayasya Datte Alde Harivirinchya Rete Sangya Shreyansi Tatnakalu Sattvatano Nams Yu. So in this verse, that is the first canto, second chapter, 23rd verse, you will find the answer to the fifth verse. Fourth verse. Fourth question. Now, in the fifth question was, we want to hear about Leela avatars. So when they asked about Leela avatars, he had to speak an entire chapter, practice an entire chapter for that. That is the third chapter. If you see the third chapter, there is a list of avatars given. These avatars are the Leela avatars. Before talking about the Leela avatars, he talks about the Purusha avatar, which is not really considered avatars. These Purusha avatars, that is Karadaksha Vishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, are described in the third chapter, first 5 verses. After describing about them, then he goes on counting. He says, first, Saevam Pratamam Devam Kumaram Sargamashitaha. So in the beginning, the Lord appeared as Narada, and he appeared as Kumaras, then he appeared as Narada. In this way, he goes on counting, and then he says, Avatara Asankye. How is that I am going to speak something about or count the number of avatars? The number of avatars are asankhya, are unlimited. So you cannot count something which is unlimited. That is why he says there is no point in counting. But I have done a mistake. He says, while counting the number of avatars, I counted Krishna as also an avatar. He says he corrects mistake by saying a beautiful verse. Yete cham sakala pumsan Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Akulam Lokam Yuge. So this verse is known as the Paribhasha Sutra of Srimad Bhagavatam, because this is the defining verse. The verse based on which the entire Bhagavatam is established, that is known as Paribhasha Sutra. So this word Sutta Goswami, because a mistake by saying Krishna is an avatar or counting Krishna in the list of avatars. Whereas Krishna is not an avatar, he is Bhagavan Swayam. That is why he used the word Yete Amsha Kala. Now Amsha refers to avatars and Kala refers to the expansion of the expansion. That is Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So he is Yete Amsha Kala Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. But Krishna himself is Bhagavan. Bhagavan Swayam, Indriyar Vyakulam Lokam Vrindanti Yuge Yuge. Whenever there is disturbance in the world by the demons, then he appears. So after speaking these words, then he goes on talking something about Krishna, about how he creates this world, Eka Ihasya Datte. At the same time, he is unaffected by the modes of nature. Then ultimately, then he speaks about the answer to the question number 6 spoken by the sage of Naimisharanya. That is, how is it so that Krishna, when he left, you are going to take shelter of which dharma? Dharmaha kam sharanam gataha. Or where did religion take shelter of? That is where they start talking about Srimad Bhagavatam. They say that, oh, Sutta Goswami, this Bhagavatam is a thing which is going to show people the direction for the people in this world. That is why they speak these beautiful verses at the end. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhidam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishresaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swastenam Mahat. Now, Idam Bhagavatam, this Bhagavat Purana is Brahma Samhitam. It is actually Krishna himself. Uttama Shloka Charitam describes the glories of Krishna. And Chakara Bhagavan Rishi is written by Vyasa himself. Nishresaya Lokasya. It is going to benefit the entire world and give the highest benefit to the people. Dhanyam Swastayanam Mahat. It is Swastyayanam. It is Mahat. It is the greatest. And this Bhagavatam, Idamraya Amasa Sukamatmatam Varam Sarvaveda Ityasanam Saram Saram Samudritam. He took all the Ityasas, Vedas, everything, and then he churned it. Like when you churn the curd, you take about butter in the same way. Sutam Atmavataam Sutta Goswami, who is the greatest of all the self-realized souls, he churned the curd and took the butter of Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, Sadosam Shravya Mamasa Maharajam Parikshitam. Then what did he do? He spoke this Bhagavatam. He spoke this Bhagavatam to the sages, to Sutta Goswami. After Sukadeva Goswami, he churned the nectar of all the Vedic literatures. When he spoke it, he spoke to the sages Haridwar. Near Haridwar there is one Suktagal. There he spoke to all the sages, where Vyasa was also there. And there, Sutta Goswami heard this thing. Then a beautiful verse comes, which is actually an answer to the 6th question. What is it? Krishne Sudamo Pagate Dharmajnana Divisaha Kalo Nashtadrishamesha Pranar Podunoditaha. This verse you find in the very introduction to the book. In the very cover page, after the cover page, you have a couple of pages. Srila Prabhupada used this verse as a marketing verse for the selling Bhagavatam. And when Krishna left to his abode, what happened is all the people who have lost their drisha, Alovonashta Drishamesha, Puranar Kudunutta, they took shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, Bhagavatam is nothing but Krishna coming back, incarnating again. Krishna, when he went to his abode, he came back. Sri Krishna Parivartita. Bhagavatam is Krishna who has come back to this world. So this is how they talk about Bhagavatam. Now, when they heard the sages of Naimisharanya, became very enthusiastic. When they became so enthusiastic, in the 4th chapter, they actually begin inquiring about Bhagavatam. Inquiring about Bhagavatam, inquiring about author of Bhagavatam, inquiring about the first speaker of Bhagavatam, and one who first spoke Bhagavatam. So this is how the fourth chapter contains the subject matter, again inquiry. Suppose if the sages and Naimisharanya would have not inquired, then Bhagavatam would have been over in the third chapter itself. Like if Arjuna would have not inquired further in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you are able to hear now? I put the microphone. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, your voice is coming.
Able to hear now?
Yes, Prabhu. Submit.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll start from the fourth chapter, first verse. So I hope we all got the context of the fourth chapter. That is, Sevisa Namisharanya. I've already asked 6 questions, which is actually the prologue to the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. And all the 6 questions are answered in 2 chapters. That is the second and the third chapter. Now, in the fourth chapter, they are going to ask questions, further going to ask questions to Sutta Goswami. So let us see how the fourth chapter begins. 1.4 chapter, 4.1. Vyasa uvacha iti bhruvaram samstutya muninam dirghasatyanam vruddhaha kulapati sukam Ruvachava Shunapo Bhavi. Sutta Goswami speaks thus. Shaunaka Rishi, who was the elderly learned leader of all the Rish engaged in the long sacrifice ceremony, congratulated Sutta Goswami for addressing him as follows. So, the Shaunaka Rishi was very happy. He was so happy, he wanted to ask more. This way, he goes on asking more questions. So, Shaunaka Vacha, second verse. Suta Suta Mahabhaga Vadano Vadatam Varaha Katam Bhagavatim Punyam Yadaha Bhagavan Sutaha. So, as soon as they heard about Bhagavatam, so wonderful, then Sutta Goswami, Shaunaka Rishi, he say, addressing Sutta Goswami, with great excitement, he says, Suta Suta Mahabhaga. Suta Suta. When you are very happy, then you chant the name of the person twice. You call out the person. Oh, again. Suppose you have to call some Prabhu. Prabhu means what? Twice you sometimes you call. Out of excitement. So out of great excitement, here, Shaunaka Rishi is addressing Sutta Goswami and then saying, Suta Suta Mahabhaga. So Mahabhaga, a great person, who is most fortunate person. Suta Suta Mahabhaga. Vadano Vadatam Varaha. You are Vadatam Varaha. You are a great speaker because to answer such questions, which are seemingly very simple, very difficult, but you answered in such a short form, simple format you answered. That means you're not an ordinary person. You're a great personality. Mitam Chasaram. If you are able to describe a very complicated subject matter in the essential format, in a very simple format, then you are known to be a very learned person. So you are a learned person. So I want to inquire further from you that this Bhagavatam, which you are talking about, I want to know actually about who. Katam Bhagavatim Punyam Yada Bhagavan Shukaha. These relate to the pious message of Bhagavatam, which was spoken by the great and powerful sage. So, Katam Bhagavatim, Katam Bhagavatim Punyam, Yadaha Bhagavan Sutta. Our whole questions will be regarding these Bhagavatam, Katam Bhagavatam, Bhagavatim Punyam, Yadaha Bhagavan Sutta. And then he goes, Tasmin Yuge. My question about Bhagavatam is, Tasmin Yuge. Tavrittaha. Tasmin means when, in which yuga, or which time, what is the time it was begun. Next. Taneva Kena Hetuna. I want to know what is the place. Second question. And Kena Hetuna. What is the purpose of this Bhagavatam. And Kutaha Samsodita Krishna Kritavan Samhitam. Where did Krishna, here Krishna refers to Vyasa, got the inspiration to compile? So the third verse actually talks about the four questions. Four questions all pertaining to Shiva's Bhagavatam. All pertaining to Shiva's Bhagavatam. So they say Tasya Putro Mahayogi San Tandrik Bilvikalpa Ekantamatirumvitno Puro Muro Iveyate. So this further going, this verse talks about, I want to hear more about the person who spoke this Bhagavatam. So this is the fifth question. In this way, they are just going on listing the questions which were asked by the Sesa Naimisharana. Now, Srila Prabhupada says, Bhagavatam is transcendent to all of them because there's nothing to do with anything mundane. So the inquiry is very intelligent and relevant. So four questions are asked in the third verse. Tasmin Yuge, Rutyayam, Taneva, which place it was written, Kena Hetuna, what is the purpose? And Kutaha Samsudita Krishna, Kritavan Samhitam Muni, on whose inspiration did Vyasa write this particular book called Bhagavatam. Now, the fourth verse, we go ask further question. Tasiputro Mahayogi, Samadrik Nirvikalpakaha, Ekantamatirunnidro, Gudha Muraha Iveyate. Gudho Mudha Iveyate. So they know something about Sukadeva Goswami. Tasyaputra, that is Vyasa's son, Sukadeva Goswami, was a Mahayogi, great personality, Mahayogi. And he was Samadrik, means he had equal vision. He had no any distinction between man, woman, good, bad, ugly. Everything he saw just energy of Krishna. Energy of Krishna. Samadrik, Nirvikalpakaha. He was fixed up in Brahman conception. He had a perfect understanding that everything is Krishna's energy and there is non-differentiated Brahman. His mind was totally engrossed in that. Samadrik Nirvikalpakaha. Ekantamatir unnidro. Ekantamatihi. Ekantamati means he was fixed up in oneness. Unnidraha. His consciousness is transcendent into material conception. And Buddha Iva, he appeared as if he is a foolish person, ignorant person. So Sukadeva Goswami is actually a liberated soul. The Prabhupada talks about the glory of Sukadeva Goswami. How liberated soul is always engaged in progressive path of spiritual attainment, and which is nothing like a dream of a conditioned soul. So those people who are conditioned in this world, they cannot understand the glory of great personalities like Sukadeva Goswami. It is very difficult to understand a devotee because he acts like a madman. Ultimately, who is mad? That only Krishna knows. So Sukadeva Goswami was like that. And they give an example for it. Very beautiful example, which they have heard. Sukadeva Goswami. They tell that दृष्ट्वा नुयान्तं ऋषिमात्मजम् अप्यङ्गम् अनङ्गम् अनग्नं देव्यो रिया परिधातुर्न सुतस्य चित्रम् तद्वीक्ष पृच्छति मुनौ जगदुस्तवास्ति Tripunvidana Sutasya Vivekta Drishte. So it so happened that you know the story of Sukadeva Goswami. As soon as Sukadeva Goswami was born, that too after 14 years, he just walked out of his house, just ran into the forest. Then his father Vyasa, he started running behind Sukadeva Goswami. This we heard in the second chapter, where the glory of Sukadeva Goswami was sung by Sutta Goswami in the Pranam Mantra. It says, Anapetamapeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virakata Rajuhava. Dvaipayano Virakata Rajuhava. Dvaipayana, Krishna Dvaipayana, he, out of great separation from his father, Dvaipayana, from his son, he started running behind his son. Told, oh Putreti, Putreti, my son, where are you, where are you? He's running. So when Vyasa was running behind Sukadeva Goswami, separation from Sukadeva Goswami, then an incident had just happened that is described here. That is, Drishtva Anyantam Rishim Atmacham Api. He was naked. As soon as born, he just ran to the forest. So Sukadeva Goswami was a young boy and he was naked. What happened? Devyaha, the beautiful woman who were taking bath in the pond. Earlier in the Vedic times, there was a separate place for the women to take bath. So they were not having any fear of man coming. Yeah. What happened when Sukadeva Goswami went? The young boy was naked, but still the girls did not cover their bodies. Whereas when they saw Vyasa, who was actually old man, self-realized soul, incarnation of God, what happened? They covered their body. Na sutasya chitram, na sutasya. When Sukadeva Goswami was seen by them, he was naked, young boy, but still they did not feel shy. But when they saw Vyasa, they felt shy. Why is it so? And it is very astonishing. Chitram. Chitram means it is very astonishing. Tadiksha Pichati Muno Chagaduhu Avasti Sri Pum. Then what happened is these people, the young girls, they inquired from Vyasa. When Vyasa inquired from these young girls, what is this happening? When my son went, you did not cover your body out of shyness. When I came, you covered your bodies. Then the young ladies told, Kumbhida, Sri Kumbhida, Tavasti, you have the buddhi, your intelligence is corrupted with death, that you know, here, girls, this is a boy, a free, old man, young man, rich, poor. All the dualities, distinction, you have the knowledge of it. You have this vision of seeing the world in clarity. Whereas your son doesn't have any difference. Sri Kumbhida Natu Sutasya Vivikta Drishte. Vivikta Drishte. His Drishti is completely pure and he has no understanding. He sees a tree, he sees a naked woman. For him, there is no difference. Both of them energy of Krishna is all Brahman. This is how the glory of Sutta Goswami they speak in this particular words. Sutta Goswami is Nirvikalpa, absorbed in Brahman. And then what happened? These people, when they asked about Sukadeva Goswami, how is it so that your son is like this and you are like this? He told, my son is, your son is really a great personality because he has got no distinction. When he sees everyone on the same platform, the energy of Krishna. So then, the sixth verse. Katam lakshitah pore sampraptah kurjangalam uttama unmatta mukha jadavat vicharan kaja sahave. So this Sukadeva Goswami, they further go on talking about his glories. Katam alakshitah pore. How was Sukadeva Goswami recognized by the citizens when he entered the city of Hastinapura? After wandering in the province of Kurujangala, appearing like a madman, dumb, retarded. So, not only we want to know about Srimad Bhagavatam, they asked 4 questions about Srimad Bhagavatam. We want to also know about the speaker of Bhagavatam. I want to know the story of the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is why in the first canto, you get the pastimes of Sukadeva Goswami, how Sukadeva Goswami appeared, who was he, etc. And you also get the stories of Parikshit Maharaj. While they wanted to tell the story of Parikshit Maharaj, and the Pandavas also had to be mentioned. This way, the entire first canto is nothing but Bhagavata Katha. Bhagavata means the Katha of the devotees. Only by the Katha of the devotees, the Bhagavad Katha is revealed. Until less one really gets into the understands or hears about the Bhakta Katha or Bhagavata Katha, Bhagavad Katha will not be revealed. Actually, Bhagavad Katha starts. Bhagavatam really starts in the second canto. Sukadeva Goswami starts speaking in the second canto. In the first canto, Sukadeva Goswami doesn't speak anything. Why is it so? The first canto is so important. Bhagavat Tato Darka. When you hear the pastimes of the devotees, then the pastimes of the devotees uses the qualification to hear the pastimes of Krishna. Not only that, the pastimes of the devotees automatically reveal the pastimes of Krishna. It enters, it is a gateway to the pastimes of Krishna. So that is why they're asking about Sukadeva Goswami. Now we know very well Kurujangala. Kurujangala is Delhi, that area, Delhi, Punjab, that area. Srila Prabhupada the purport talks about the present city of Delhi, probably known as Hastinapura, because it was first established by King Hasti. And Sukadeva Goswami, after leaving his parental home, was roaming like a madman. Therefore, it was very difficult for the citizens to recognize him in his exalted position. So Srila Prabhupada talks about outwardly he appeared to be a retired, dumb madman, but in fact, he was the most elevated transcendental personality. So we cannot understand the glory of a devotee by the external dress, external features. Anybody who would see Sukadeva Goswami, a young boy running on the streets, then many mad people are following him, and some dogs are following, children are following him. You would think he's a madman, but sadhu cannot be recognized by the dress. Sadhus can be recognized by their qualities. And then in the 7th verse, Katam va pandaveyasya rajarsher munina saha samvadaha samabhutata yatresha satvati suchuti. Then, after asking about Sukadeva Goswami in a couple of verses, they want to know about Parikshit Maharaj. It says, Katamva Pandaveyasya, he is descendant of Pandu, Parikshit Maharaj. Katam. Katam means, how is it that Parikshit Maharaj met this age called Sukadeva Goswami? Rajarsher Munina Saha Samvadaha Samabhut. So, making it possible for his great transcendental science of Vedas, that is Bhagavatam, to be sung to him. Yatresha Satvati Shutihi. Essence of all Vedic literatures, Bhagavatam was spoken by Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. We want to know how did Parikshit Maharaj meet Sukadeva Goswami? Meeting between the great souls, not the ordinary thing. Like we have so many meetings between very great devotees. These meetings reveal this great science. So they ask this question that how is it that Parikshit Maharaj he met Sukadeva Goswami? Then सगोदोहनमात्रं हि गृहेषु गृहमेधिनाम् अवेक्षते महाभागः कीर्ति कुर्वन् तदाश्रमम्. Now Sukadeva Goswami's another glory is described. That is, Sukadeva Goswami is accustomed to stay at the door of a household only long enough for a cow to be milked. Sagodohana matram hi griheshu grahamidram. He would go and stand near the door, and the lady of the house, she would be milking the cow. And by the time he would see something, and once the milk, they remove the milk, and then milk is given, so they go silently. He would not stay much in the house of the householder. Avekshate mahabhaga kirti kurvan sadashram. Somebody may say, oh, he's there in the greed of getting the milk. No, 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 no. Whole purpose of Sukadeva Goswami going to a householder's house was to purify their house. When a sadhu comes to the house, householder, and he begs alms, it is actually for purification of the householder. That is why it is a instruction for both householders as well as sannyasis, the sadhus. Householders, whenever they see a sannyasi, they are supposed to offer something. And the sannyasis, the renounced order people, they would not stay much in the house of a householder. They would not be attracted to the positions of a householder. They would just go only for the purpose of getting some purifying their house by accepting some donation. So Srila Prabhupada writes, for one who is a renounced order of life, this is much more dangerous than drinking poison and committing suicide. So with one in the renounced order of life should be very careful. That the whole purpose of they visiting the householders is only to just purify them, not to get allured to the material appearances what they have. Now, Abhimanyu Sutam Suta Rahur Bhagavatotam Tasya Janma Mahastyapyam Karmani Cha Vinijanaha. They say, we heard about Parikshit Maharaj, whose birth is Mahascharyan. Wonderful words are used here. Rahur Bhagavatotam Tasya Janma Mahascharyan. It is said that Parikshit Maharaj is a first class devotee, Bhagavatottama. Bhagavatotamam. And the birth and activity is also very wonderful. Please tell Lord Parikshit Maharaj. See, when you want to hear about a book, it is more interesting when you hear about the author of the book. It is more interesting when you hear about why the author wrote the book. It is more interesting on whose inspiration the author wrote the book. It is more interesting when the author wrote the book, he wrote the book, a story of a conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So you want to know about the main characters of the book, the hearer and the speaker of the book. When you know about these great personalities, our interest in the book increases. That is why they are asking about Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was so great that his birth, Krishna came and protected him. Same Krishna came and protected Parikshit Maharaj at the time of death in the form of Bhagavatam. That is why Parikshit Maharaj is known as Vishnuratam. Vishnurata. So we want to know about Parikshit, who is so wonderful that his birth and activities are so divine that it is very astonishing. How is it that a baby in the womb of the mother is protected by Krishna? The baby saw Krishna in the womb. He did not even pray. The baby was protected. Parikshit Maharaj was protected. The Brahmastra of Brahmastra by Ashwatthama. So, going further, 10th one. Sa samratasya vaheto Pandunam Manavardhanaha Prayo Kavishto Gangayam Anadrita Dritasyam. Sa Samrat, emperor, is Parikshit Maharaj. Tasya Vahetoho. So what is the reason? For what reason? Pandunam Manavardhanaha. Pandunam Manavardhanaha is actually one who increases the glory of the Pandava dynasty, Parikshit Maharaj. Prayopavishto Gangayam. He went to the bank of river Ganga and then he sat there, Prayopavishtaha, and he is going to fast till death. Anadritya Adhirat Shriyam. He neglected his great kingdom that required Shriyam, great opulences. Not easy to give up things. Parikshit Maharaj gave up the big kingdom, and he not only gave the big kingdom, he also gave all the opulence. So we want to know about Parikshit Maharaj. Where did he get this strength from? So Parikshit Maharaj is known as one who is Pandunam Manavardhanaha, one who increased the glory of the Pandu's dynasty. We know how Parikshit Maharaj ruled the kingdom. He was so perfect ruler that he punished the person who was trying to beat a bull, kill a bull. The administration was so perfect. Such Parikshit Maharaj, he just gave the entire kingdom in opulence. I went to river Ganga and sat there. As long as going to leave his body, he's going to sit there without eating. Prayopavishta. You want to know about the story? You all questions. Now, Namanti Yatpadaniketanatmana Shivaya Haniya Dhanani Tatpravaha Katam Nasarira Shriyam Mangadusyajam Yuvaistatostrum Aho Saha Shubhi. So, Parikshit Maharaj is not an ordinary person, great personality, great emperor. Namanti Yatpada Niketanam Atmanaha. Many enemies, other kings, they all came and paid obeisances to Parikshit Maharaj. Namanti Yatpada Niketanam Atmanaha and Shivaya Niyadani Satravaha. All the Shatrus, they used to come and go down, surrender. They would give all the wealth to Parikshit Maharaj so that they will be protected by Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was so powerful. The Shatrus of Parikshit Maharaj, they would not fight with Parikshit Maharaj, but they would surrender to Parikshit Maharaj. And they give all the wealth, pay taxes to Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was Chakravarti. The entire world, not only just India. His administration had influence in all countries, in all continents, Africa, name it, South America, America, Europe, Australia, everywhere. Not just India. That was the power of Parikshit Maharaj. And not only that, Katam Saviraha Shriyamanga Dustyajam. Dustyajam. Very, very difficult to give up one's own wealth. And that too, it is not that Parikshit Maharaj had become very old. He was youth. He was very young. Very powerful also. Very opulent also. Then, in spite of this thing, why did he give up everything? To such an extent, he gave up his life also. Saha Asubhi. Saha Asubhi. Asu means here life. Parikshit Maharaj was so great that he at once was able to give up his kingdom. His extent he was willing to give his life in spite of he being very young. So there was no problem in the time of Parikshit Maharaj. It's not that there is something called Apat Sanyas. Apat Sanyas means when somebody has difficulty in their life, they give up everything in come. So one is you give up your opulence and take sannyas. Another is the opulence are given you up, So you thought, anyhow, everything is lost, let me take sannyas. This is called apat sannyas. So now Parikshit Maharaj, he was very young, he could have continued his kingdom, he could have continued being the king. Why is it that he gave up? Next, 12th verse. Shivaya lokasya bhavaya bhutaye ya uttama shloka parayana jana jivanti namamritam na जीवन्ति नात्मार्थम् असो पराश्रयम् मुमोच निर्वेद्य कुत कलेवरम्. So the glory of the devotees is like this. Svaya lokasya bhavaya bhutaye yavuttama shloka parayana jana. Those who are uttama shloka parayana jana, those who are devotees of Krishna, uttama shloka parayana jana. What is their work? Shivaya lokasya. Shivaya lokasya. For the purpose of the welfare of the society and the development and happiness of others. Their life is meant for that only. Jivanti natmartham. They live not for their own sake. Their life is meant for others. Idam shariram parobagaram evartham. This life, this body is meant only for others' benefit. This is the nature's law. If you follow it, your nature's lies. You're following nature. If you live for yourself, this unnatural life. Jivanti natmartham aso parashrayam. What they do? They don't take shelter of any other ashraya. Parashrayam. They don't take shelter of any material things in this world. Umocha nirvidya uta kalevaram. He'd go up his own body. It's actually shelter for others. This whole body is meant for others only, always. So what they do, they are willing to give this body also for the welfare of others. So Srila Prabhupada gives a very wonderful purpose. Parikshit Maharaj is an ideal king, household, because he is a devotee of Krishna, devotee of Supreme Personality of Godhead. A devotee of the Lord automatically has got good qualifications, and the emperor was a typical example for this. Personally, he had no attachment for all the worldly opulences in his position. But since he was king of all round welfare of the citizens, he was always busy in the welfare work of the public, not only for his life, but also for the next life. In this way, king is a representative of the Supreme Lord. So he is just supposed to think of the welfare of the society. When you think of the welfare of the society, then your welfare is taken care of by Krishna. So in this way, the 12th verse, the glory of devotees are described. That is, devotees, they just live for others' benefit, and no, not for their own life. Their life is dedicated for others' benefit. Then 13th verse. Tat sarvam naha samachakshva Pushto yadiha kinchana manye tvam vishaye vacham natam manyatra chandasat. So they start saying to Swami, we know tat sarvam naha samachakshva pushto yadiha kinchana. We know that you are really expert in the meaning of subjects, except some portion of Vedas. Now, this word has to be very nicely analyzed, except some portion of the Vedas. Now, Sutta is a very special category. They are not allowed to study the original Vedas because they are not born typically in a Brahmin family. So that is why they say that Pushto yade iha kinchana manye tvam vishaye vacham natam anyatra chandasat. Anyatra chandasat. Except some portion of the Vedas, you are very expert in speaking about the meaning of subject matter. So you can explain to the answers to all the questions we have put for you. So please answer the questions which are put for you, and I request, we all request you that you explain to us. Don't think that, oh, I'm a Sutta, how can I answer these questions? No, you are a great personality. Just because you're born in a non-Brahmin family and you're not allowed to study certain portions of Vedas, that should not become your disqualification uh, for you to not to answer this, for you to answer this question. So you're a great personality, please answer. Srila Prabhupada talks about the difference between Vedas and Puranas. Now Srila Prabhupada says the difference between Vedas and Puranas are like difference between Brahmanas and Parivrajakas. The Brahmanas are meant to administer some fruitive sacrificial portions mentioned in Vedas. But the Parivrajakas are learned preachers are meant to disseminate transcendental knowledge to one and all. As such, the Parivrajaka acharyas are not always expert in pronouncing the Vedic mantras, which are practiced systematically by accent and meter by the Brahmanas, who are meant for administering Vedic rites. Yet it should not be considered that the Brahmanas are more important than the different preachers. They are one and different simultaneously because they are meant for the same end in different ways. There is no difference between the Vedic mantras, what is explained in Puranas and Itihasas. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, it is mentioned in the Madhyana Dina Suti that all the Vedas, namely Sama, Atharva, Rig, Yajus, Puranas, Itihasas, Upanishads, are emanations from the breathing of the Supreme Being. The only difference is that the Vedic mantras are mostly begun with the pranava, ankara. It requires some training to practice the meter pronunciation of Vedic mantras. But that does not mean that Srimad Bhagavatam is of less importance in the Vedic mantras. On the contrary, it is ripened fruit of all Vedas, as stated before. Besides that, the most perfectly liberated soul, Sukadeva Goswami, is absorbed in the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Although he is already self-realized, Sukadeva Goswami is following in his footsteps. And therefore, his position is not the least less important because he was not expert in chanting Vedic mantras with meter pronunciation, which depends more on practice than actual realization. Realization is more important than parrot-like chanting. So Srila Prabhupada gives a very elaborate purport on this, talking about how just because somebody is not qualified or not trained in chanting the Vedic mantras, that doesn't mean that he's less important than those who are expert in the chanting Vedic mantras. Rather, one who is actually a Bhagavata, studying Bhagavatam, which is a ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge, is more advanced. Because Bhagavatam was realized by Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami was Brahman realized. But he got attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam. That shows Srimad Bhagavatam is attractive even to the liberated souls. Of course, that is a subject matter which is going to come in the 7th chapter. Atma Ramastu Muniyo Nirgranta Gurukrame Kurvante Idugam Bhaktim Ikam Bhutavano Hari. So this verse actually talks about how the liberated souls are also attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam. So such is the greatness of Srimad Bhagavatam. So one who is not well trained in the Vedic literatures cannot be considered to be something less important, because Goswami was such a great personality that he was not born in a Brahmin family. The Suttas are generally those who are not born directly in the Brahmin family. They are somewhat like born to a Brahmin mother from a lower class husband. There is two kinds of marriages. In the Vedic system, it is recommended that one who is belonging to higher class, Brahmin class, can marry a woman from the lower class. But a woman from the man from the lower class cannot marry a woman from the higher class. For example, there is a Kshatriya man. A Kshatriya man cannot marry a Brahmin woman. When a Brahmin man can marry a Kshatriya woman, this was the system at the particular time. This is the nature. Tat sarvam naha samachakra pushtoyam kinchana anyetvam vishaye vacham atam anyatra chandasat. Anyatra chandasat. We are not qualified. Anyatra means apart from certain portion of Vedas for which you are not qualified. But you should not worry that Bhagavatam is inferior to the Vedas. No. Bhagavatam is actually more superior to the Vedas. That is why you continue. For Bhagavatam is the fruit of all the transcendental knowledge. So without any hesitation, please answer all our questions. Basically, the questions can be categorized, summarized in this way. We want to know about where and when was Bhagavatam spoken. We want to know about why and on whose inspiration Vyasa wrote the Bhagavatam. Number 3, we want to know about Sukadeva Goswami, who is actually the speaker of Bhagavatam. And we want to know about Parikshit Maharaj, who is the hearer of Bhagavatam, and who hears Bhagavatam. So basically, these are the 4 questions about Bhagavatam, about the place where the Bhagavatam was written, etc. Where time of Bhagavatam, that means time in which Bhagavatam was written. That means the question pertaining to Bhagavatam, questions pertaining to the author of Bhagavatam, questions pertaining to the speaker of Bhagavatam, questions pertaining to the hearer of the book. So, in essence, Bhagavatam, Vyasa, Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj. We want to know about them. So, in this way, they have asked questions. Now, Sukadeva Goswami has heard these questions. He is answering them. Let us see how he answers. 14th verse onwards. Dvapare samanoprapte iye yugapadyaye jata parasharat yogi yas kavyam talaya hare. Dvapare samanoprapte iye yugapadyaye. So Vyasa was born. Now they start talking about the person who is author of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Vyasa, where was he born? In the womb of Satyavati. How was he born? Actually, who is he? He's not an ordinary person. Yugapare Jataha Parashrad Yogi Vasavyam Kalaya Hare. Kalaya Hare. Like we heard about this word Kala. Ete Chamshakala. Krishna is expansion. Expansion is expansion, there is no Kala. So Vyasa is Kalavatar of the Lord, one of the Kalavatars. So Vyasa is born in the womb of Satyavati, and the portion of the Lord, that is Kalaya Hare, where the third part of Dwapar Yuga, Yuga Pariyage. So the question was asked in third verse. Where was Bhagavatam written? Which place? And Kasmin Yuge, and when? Which place? Kastane. Which place was Bhagavatam written? So for that, there is a description of Vyasa's birth and activities at present. So now, after the third Paryaya, as Dwapar Yuga, Yuga Paryaya has Krishna appeared, Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa appeared. So we know that the Yuga Paryaya, third part of Dwapar Yuga, Vyasa was born as the son of Satyavati. And Satyavati is none other than the daughter of Uparachara Vasu. So of course there's a story which talks about it. That is why Satyavati, she is known as Matsya Ganga. Parachuravasu, he his semen fell and the fish swallowed the semen. So what happened was that semen was that she gave birth to a daughter, and one of the fishermen took care of the daughter, Satyavati. So from her body, fish smell used to come. That is why she is known as Matsya Ganga. Vyasa was born from Satyavati, so Vyasa's body was also smelling like fish. So Matsya Ganga can refer to both Satyavati and Vyasa. Now, Dwapare. There is a interesting thing we should know, that every yuga is divided into 4 parts. Like 3 parts actually. That is the first 10% and the last 10% and the middle 80%. Now, for example, we have Dwapar Yuga. Dwapar Yuga is for 8,64,000 years. What is 10% of 8,64,000 years? 86,400 years. So now 86,400 years, the first part of Dwapar Yuga is known as Pratama Sandhya. Dvitiya Sandhya is 80%, and the last 86,400 years, that becomes the last part of Dwapar Yuga, that is Tritiya. So Vyasa was born in that particular time. Now what happens is, the third part of Dwapar Yuga, the first part of Kali Yuga. First part of Kali Yuga means the 10% of the entire Kali Yuga, 4,32,000 years divided by 10. It becomes 43,200 years. So 43,200 years plus 86,400 years, the last part of Dwapar Yuga and the first part of Kali Yuga, they both become Yuga Sandhya. Now, at the present, 5,000 years have passed Kali. In one sense, if you say, it is not Kali Yuga now, it is only Yuga Sandhya going on. Like the sunrise is going on at that time, you can either say it is day, nor it is night, it is Sandhi. When it is setting, neither it is night nor it is day, because it is evening. The same way, it is neither Kali Yuga nor Dwapar Yuga. It is Yuga Sandhya, Dwapare Tritiya Bhage. So that is the time when Vyasa was born. Parashara was walking on the banks of river Saraswati. So then at the time he saw the constellation was so wonderful, all the arrangements of the planets were so perfect. And he thought that if a son is born during the time, if I impregnate someone, then a glorious personality who is going to deliver the entire world is going to be born. Then he saw there was no proper person where he can increase his potency. Then he saw the Satyavati in an island. Then he went into Satyavati that I want to impregnate you. Then she told, oh, what is this? You are a great rishi. I am just a fisherman's daughter. Then he told, don't worry. By my potency, I'll make sure that your virginity is not spoiled. At the same time, you'll give birth to a great personality. In this way, in the island, in Yamuna. So there, Vyasa was born. That is why he is known as Vaipayana, one who is born in an island. That is called Vaipayana, Dvipa. And he is also known as Badarayana. Vyasa is also known as Badarayana because as soon as he was born, he went towards Badri. At that time, Satyavati told, oh, you're my son. As soon as you're born, you're leaving, because as soon as he was born, you need to grow up to a ordinary height, like a man. And then he told, my dear mother, whenever you are in trouble, you just think of me, I'll appear. That is how the whole Mahabharata starts. When Vishitri and Chitrangada, they died, and here Ambika and Ambalika, they just alone. They had no sons, there were no progeny. Satyavati at that time, she thought about Vyasa. And it is Vyasa who impregnated Ambika and Ambalika. Of course, there's one more Dasi. There's also in this way. We see personalities are gone. Rashtra was gone, Pandu was gone, and Vijay was also gone. Of course, that is a different story. Here, Dvapare Samano Prapte Diye Paryaye Jataha Parasharat Yogi Madhavyam Kalaya Hare. So among different incarnations of Krishna, Vyasa is known as a Sahitya Shakti Avesh Avatar. Prithu Maharaj is known as Bhupalana Shakti Avesh Avatar. And this way, Prithu Maharaj is like that. Krishna is Dushta Samharana Shakti Avesh Avatar. Bhupalana is Shakti Maharaj. And Narada is Bhakti Shakti Avatar, Shakti Avesh Avatar. And poor Kumara is a Jnana Shakti Avesh Avatar. Narada Rishi are Tapas Shakti Avesh Avatar. This way, there is a category of avatars known as Avesh Avatars, where Vyasa is coming under the Avesh Avatar. Of course, the present Vyasa, Jiva Goswami writes in his analysis treatise on Srimad Bhagavatam, that the present Vyasa is not just a Shakti Avesh Avatar, but he is Sakshat Narayana. Of course, the Madhva Sampradaya people, they say, every Vyasa is Sakshat Narayana. Of course, it is the way they perceive the Supreme Lord. Ultimately, we should know Vyasa is the Supreme Lord. And Vyasa's Pranam Mantra also one should know. Vyas, Moste, Vyasa Vishalante, Tullara Vintapatra Netraha, Yenatpaya, Bharatiya Purnaha, Tajwalido Jnaname Pradipaha. These are all the Pranam Mantras of Vyasa. Vyasa Vishala Buddhe. His buddhi is unlimited. Moste, Vyasa Vishal. Lotus like ice. And Yenatpaya Bharataya Purnaha Tajwalido Jnaname Pradipaha. Because the whole Bhagavatam glory is established by Vyasa himself. If Vyasa would have not been dejected after writing all the Vedas, the glory of Bhagavatam would have not been established. So it was Vyasa who, by his experience, he manifested the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why Vyasa is worshipped every day. We pay obeisance to Vyasa. Vyasam Vashittanaptaram Kattehe Pautramakarmasham Parasharaptajam Mande Sudadam Tamotim Taponijim. These are another pranam mantra of Vyasa. Before getting on the Vyasasana, first one should pay obeisances to Vyasa. Considering Vyasa is sitting on the Vyasasana, it is Vyasa's asana. I am only just a representative. Oh Vyasa, please let me not speak anything which is antagonistic to your philosophy. One should say like this. Chant is pranam mantras. Vyasam Vashittanaptaram. He is a great grandson of Vashishta. Shaktehe Pautra Vashishta, grandson of Shaktehe. And Shakti's son is Parashara. Parasharaptajam Mande. Sukadadam Taponitim. He gave Sudha to the entire world through Sudha, his son. Sudha gave Bhagavatam, and that becomes the Sudha for the entire world. So in this way, Vyasa has to worship. Namoste Vyasa Vishala Putre. Again, we will go on glorifying Vyasa. Vyasaya Vishwarupaya. Vishwarupaya Vyasare. And Namoste Brahmanidaye. Adhishtaya Namo Namaha. In this way, you can go on chanting Vyasa's Pranam Mantra. So go further. We have 15th verse. Sakadachit Saraswatya Upasmushtya Jalam Suchihi Vivikta Ek Asina Udite Varivandale. Now, the glorious description of Vyasa goes on. Once Sakadachit Saraswatya on the bank of river Saraswati, what is he doing? Upasmushtya Jalam Suchihi. He touched the Jala, he did Achaman. And Vivikta Ek Asinaha. He sat alone in a very isolated place. And Udite Ravimandale, the sun in the morning. That means Udaya Sandhya going on. At that time, Vyasa, is Trikalajna. He could see the past, present, and the future. That is the glory of Vyasa. Paravarakya Sarshihi Kalena Vyaktaramhasa. Kalena Vyaktaramhasa. To know the secret of the kalas, secret of what's going to happen in the future. And Yuga Dharma Vetikaram praptam bhuyuge yuge. So yuga dharma or vetikaram praptam bhuvi yuge yuge. For yugas, this yuga dharma has been manifest and manifest. He saw that the Vedas had to be protected. How the Vedas will be protected? Only when it is put in the written format. Originally, Vedic literatures uh, were, were not in a written format. Vedic literatures were called Shruti. Just by hearing, people could memorize. But Vyasa could see that Kalena Viktaram Hasa Yuga Dharma Vedikaram Praptam Bhuvi Yuge Yuge. Every year it happens, every yuga it happens. That this happens in the different ages due to unseen reasons, unseen forces, the course of time. That is Yuga Dharma Vedikaram Kalena Vyakta. Nobody can see what's going to happen. So in the age of Kali, people will be so degraded. Then, Vyasa, he thought I should do something now. Baudiganam Sabhavanam Shakti Harsham Cha Tatritam Ashraddhanam Nisatvam Durmedam Arisayusha Durbhagam Sajanam Viksha Murir Diyena Chakshusha Sarvavarnashmanam Yat Gato Hitam Amogadrik. So he saw the great sage who was fully equipped in knowledge, could see through his transcendental vision the deterioration of everything, what's going to happen. Harishe, Ayushaha, first thing, age, people's Ayush is going to be reduced. He could see people faithless, they would have no faith. And Durbhagam, Viksha Munihi, Yena, Chakshusha, by his transcendental vision could see Sarvavarnashmanam. You will also see that faithless people in general would be reduced in the duration of life and would be impatient due to lack of goodness. Thus he contemplated for the welfare of the men in status and orders of life. So he thought there should be something for the welfare of the people. Sarvavarnashmanam yat sattu hitam amogadrik. So Vyasa, as the sages are meant to be doing so, supposed to only think of the welfare of the entire society. So for that sake, he thought, I should do something. He started contemplating, what should I do, what should I do? Of course, we know, we don't have to much talk about the problems in the age of Kali, what is going to happen. We are seeing that what all things are happening in this world, what all kind of diseases are coming, how people are so frustrated. We don't want to talk much about it. Let us go to the 19th verse. Then he saw, Chaturhotam Karma Shuddham Satyanam Vikshatitam Viditam Yadadat Yajnasam Satyai Vedam Vedam Chaturvidam. He saw that the sacrifice mentioned Vedas, which are means for people's occupations to be purified. And to simplify the process, he divided one Veda into four in order to expand the environment. Vedam ekam chaturvidam vedadhat ekam. So there was only one Veda originally before Vyasa. It was known as Yajus. That's all. So Vyasa, at the time, there was nothing written. There was no written format of Vedas. Vedas means knowledge, they were existing, that's all. Vedam Satyam, they are truth, and they are Shruti. It was just knowledge. Now, knowledge means, for us now, it's book. But earlier, knowledge means not a book. Knowledge is actually knowledge. It is there in the consciousness of the people. So, formerly, there was only one Veda named Tejas. And the four divisions of sacrifices were there actually mentioned. But to make them more easily comparable, the Vedas were divided into four divisions of sacrifice just to purify the occupational service of the four orders. Above the four Vedas, namely Rig, Yajur, Sam, and Atharva, their Puranas and Mahabharata Samhitas. which are known as the fifth Veda. Sri Vyasadeva and his many disciples were all historical personalities, and they were very kind and sympathetic toward the fallen souls. As said, the Puranas and Mahabharata were made from related historical facts, which explain the teachings of the four Vedas. There is no point in doubting the authority of the Puranas and Mahabharata as part of parcel of Vedas. Chandra clearly says that Puranas and the Mahabharata are known as history, mentioned fifth Veda, Pancha Veda. According to Jiva Goswami, that is the way of ascertaining the respective values of the revealed scriptures. Now, when the name of Jiva Goswami has been mentioned in the purport, we should pay some attention to the books written by Jiva Goswami, especially Jiva Goswami. He has written one special section of books called Sandarbhas, Shat Sandarbhas. In the Shat Sandarbhas, the first Sandarbha is known as the Tattva Sandarbha. In the Tattva Sandarbha, there are two parts in it. The first part of Tattva Sandarbha is known as Pramana Kanda. In the Pramana Kanda of the Tattva Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami, he takes up this point. First, he takes up the point of how Vedas are perfect. That is what we speak in the Bhagavad Gita course, that is DYS. How Vedic knowledge is Aporushaya. Three kinds of pramanas. We know Pratyaksh Praman, Numan Praman, Shad Praman. And Shad Praman is perfect, that is what we established. So Jiva Goswami is the first person who set up this principle. First he established Vedam, Satyam, Vedas are perfect. Then he raised another question, that what about Puranas? Because there is a 99% of the scholars in India and the West, they think Puranas are secondary to Vedas. Puranas are not Vedic. So this problem was there right from the time of Vyasa. And it was there even the time of Shankaracharya. That is why he named Bhagavad Gita as Gita-upanishad. Why Shankaracharya has to name Bhagavad Gita as Gita-upanishad? Because there were people who were thinking only Upanishads are Vedic. Mahabharata, Ramayana are not Vedic. There are some stories, relevant parts of the Mahabharata and Ramayana, which are in concurrence with the Vedas should be accepted, otherwise they should not be accepted as Vedic. Shankaracharya, for people not to neglect Mahabharata, while neglecting Mahabharata, they would neglect Bhagavad Gita. That is why he brought the Bhagavad Gita and named it as Gita Upanishad. Bhagavad Gita is no less than Upanishad, it is Upanishad. It is Vedic. Even Shankaracharya had to prove this point. So Jiva Goswami goes to a very, very deep analysis and said, Purana is called Purana because Purnayate iti Puranaha. One which completes the meaning of the Veda. Vedas meaning, if you have to understand, you have to understand only to the Puranas. Without understanding the Puranas, you cannot understand the Veda. That is why Purana is a thing which completes our understanding of the Vedas. That is why Purnayate. Purna means completion. Now, Srila Jiva Goswami gives an argument there. He says, if there is a golden ring, but only 3/4, 1/4 part is missing, you take the golden ring to a goldsmith. The goldsmith can complete the 1/4 part which is missing only by gold. It cannot be completed by iron. It can be completed by silver. It cannot be completed by anything. So, if Puranas are called Puranas, they are called Puranas because they are completing the meaning of the Vedas. So, if they are completing the meaning of the Vedas, the Puranas are also Vedic in nature. We are introduced to Krishna consciousness through Prabhupada. We have no confusion. But those who are gone through this ignorance, it's very difficult for them to accept Puranas are Vedic in nature. They think Puranas and Itihasas, they are not Vedic. That is why there is a very beautiful verse in the Chandogya Upanishad which gives the names of the Vedas as well as the Puranas. They say Puranam, Panchama Vedam, they are known as fifth Veda. Chandogya Upanishad. The Prabhupada quotes this number also. Chandogya Upanishad, text number 7.1.4. It is a very beautiful, interesting words. It is actually a kind of a surprise for all those people who are thinking that Puranas are something lesser to the Vedas. The Chandogya Upanishad clearly talks about it. Namavedarik Namavarik Namavarik Vedo Yadurvedaha Samavedaha Atharvanas Sutaha Itihasa Purana Panchamo Vedanam Veda Pratriyo Ra Dio. I'm not able to get the proper pronunciation of this thing. So this talks about Puranam, Itihasa Puranaha Panchamo Vedanam. So Itihasas and Puranas are called Panchama Veda. So that is a very interesting proof for all those people who consider Puranas are non-Vedic in nature. So Vyasa, he took that one Veda and divided into 4 parts: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama. And what was left over was called Atharva. In many places, only 3 Vedas are mentioned. Vedas are also called Tri because there are 3 in number. Like Krishna also says, Rig, Sama, Yajur, Vacha. He only mentions 3 Vedas. People ask, you told 4 Vedas are there. It's very simple to understand. So for example, you have one dosa, some idli. Now, one dosa is there and you have 4 people. What you should do? You should cut it 3 times. Then you will get 4 parts. That is why Rig, Sama, Yajur. What was left over was called Atharva. That is why the mantras in the Atharva Veda are not very considered very high class. Of course, lot of Atharva Vedic Upanishads are there, lot of Atharva Vedic Samhitas are there, Brahmanas are there. But still, we will not go into the subject. But for now, we should know that Vyasa divided this one Veda into 4 parts, and that is why Vyasa is called Vyasa. Vyasa is called Vyasa because he editor. Vyasa means editor, one who edits. Now, 20th verse. Rig Yaju Samatharvakya Vedas Chatvara Udahrita Itihasa Puranam Namcha Panchamo Veda Uchate. So Itihas and Puranas are called Panchama Veda. Now going further. Tatra Veda Dara Palihi. So he divided one Veda into 4, then he got Pali Rishi. And then he gave Rig Veda to Pali Rishi. And he called Jaimini. And told, okay, you take Sam Veda. Samago Jaimini Kavihi. And then he called Vaishambhayana Vaiko Canto Janusamuta. And he called Vaishambhayana, who is actually a speaker of Mahabharata, and then gave him the Yajur Veda. Then you take Yajur Veda. And Atharvangira Samasit, 22nd verse. He called Angiras. Angiras, you take Atharva Veda. Sumantul Karuno Munihi Jahasa Purananam Vidan Pitame Romaharshanaha. And then he called my father Romaharshana. And then he gave Puranas and Itihasa. Now we have these 2 words coming up again and again, Purana and Itihasa. So what is the difference between Purana and Itihasa? Puranas and Itihasas are very distinct in their nature. Puranas talk about all the kings in the dynasty of Sun and Moon. The Sun dynasty and Moon dynasty. Sun calendar, Moon calendar. Recently we had Ugadi. Gudi Padwa. That is the new year according to the moon calendar. And now, tomorrow we are going to celebrate the new year according to the sun calendar. That is Vishu or Vaisakhi, when the sun enters the Mesh Rashi. So, all the kings in the dynasty, the moon dynasty, the sun dynasty, Chandramsha and Suryamsha are described in Puranas. But Itihasa is very special. What is the nature of Itihasa is, the Itihasa, it takes one personality who is very great in the Chandramsha, who cannot be described in just a Purana. He requires a separate book for it. Krishna appeared in Chandramsha. So Krishna cannot be described in few chapters and maybe few books. It requires a huge description of Krishna. That is why Mahabharata is Itihas. Mahabharata is the Itihas. Lord Ram appeared in the Suryamsha. The Suryamsha king, many kings are there, but Ram requires a special book to be written about him. That is why elaborate description about Lord Ram comes in Ramayana. That is how Ramayana is called Itihas. Now, Ramayana and Mahabharata both are Itihasas. Though both are Itihasas, they are not just some kind of stories. They are based on scriptures. That is why they are Shastra. Ramayana is also Shastra and Mahabharata is also Shastra. But still there is some difference between them. What is the difference? Ramayana is more tending towards a kavya because more rasa is in Ramayana. But rasa is inhibited in Mahabharata. That is why Ramayana is called Kavya Shastra and Mahabharata is known as Shastra Kavya. Of course, I don't want to get into the different categories of literatures of India, of Bharata. But these are certain things. That is why you find Purana, Itihasa. Both in one sense say they both are histories, real history. If you want to find the real history, if you want to find what is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, anything you can find, everything will be found in these two scriptures. Ramayana and Mahabharata, both are Itihasas. So, Puranas and Itihasas were given to my Pita. My Pita means my father, Roma Harshana Sutta. Sutta Goswami is talking about. Now, Sayetarashayo Vedam Swam Vyasan Anekada Shishyaih Parishishyaih Tachishyair Vedaste Kino Bhavan. So in this way, many shakas were manifest from these students. Actually, we have something called shaka, upashaka, branches. If a Brahmin, traditional Brahmin, they would tell that we belong to this Rishi, and in that this Rishi, this Veda, and in this Veda, in this shaka. There are some people who even advocate that those who are born in a particular Brahmin family belonging to a particular shaka, they are not supposed to chant the Vedic mantras in other tune. It's very complicated, of course. Now, this kind of understanding is totally redundant because hardly few shakas are left. There are hardly few schools which are actually teaching the Veda according to their traditions right from Vyasa. Now, in the 23rd verse, this is what is all these learned scholars in turn rendered their interested Vedas unto their many disciples, grand disciples, and great grand disciples. And thus, the respective branches of followers of the Vedas came into being. Now, last verse for today. Tayeva Veda Durmede Dharyante Purushairiyata Evam Chakara Bhagavan Vyasaha Kripanavatsalaha. Why did he do all these things? Because Vyasaha Kripanavatsalaha. Vyasa is very affectionate to all those people who are Kripana, who are kind of destitute kind of people. So what did Vyasa do? The great sage Vyasa, who is very kind to ignorant masses, edited the Vedas so they might be assimilated by lesser people. Now, let me read the purport and finish for today. The Veda is one, and the reason for this division in many parts are explained here. The seed of all knowledge, Veda, is not a subject matter which can be easily understood by an ordinary man. There is a stricture that no one should try to learn the Veda who is not qualified Brahmana. This stricture has been wrongly interpreted in so many ways. A class of men who claim to have Brahminical qualifications simply by birthright in the family of Brahmana claim that the study of Vedas is a monopoly of the Brahmana caste only. Another section of people take this as an injustice to a member of other caste. Do not happen to be taken birth in the Brahmana family, but both of them are misguided. The Vedas are subjects which have to be explained even to Brahmaji by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the subject matter is understood by persons with exceptional qualities of goodness. Persons who are in mode of passion and ignorance are unable to understand the subject matter of the Vedas. The ultimate goal of Vedic knowledge is the personality of God. This personality is very rarely understood by those who are in the mode of passion and ignorance. In such a way, everyone was situated in the mode of goodness. Gradually, the mode of goodness declined during the Treta Yuga and Dwapara Yuga, and the general people became corrupt. In the present age, the mode of ignorance mode of good is almost nil. So, for general mass of people, the kind-hearted, powerful sage Vyasa Deva divided the Veda into various ways so that they may be practically followed by less intelligent persons in the mode of passion and ignorance. It is explained in the next shloka as follows: how Sri Shudra Vijabandhunam Trina Shruti how these three, that is, women, Shudras, Vijabandhunam, that is, those who are born in Brahmin families, and Kshatriya families, Vaishya families. Vija doesn't mean just a Brahman. Vija means twice born. That is, all three, Brahmin, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, all are called Vijas. Vijabandhuna means they are born in these families, but they are not practicing the principles. Those who are Shruti Gocharaha, they cannot study the Veda. For them, out of great compassion, Vyasa wrote Mahabharata and Ramayana, or Mahabharata and Puranas. So that subject matter we'll discuss from tomorrow. So any questions, please do ask. Hare Krishna, any questions?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Kamalochan Prabhu.
Two Itihasas contain only Mahabharata and Ramayana and some more literatures are there. Here are the two prominent Itihasas. Of course, there are many other Itihasas which are in the form of a kavya, like Raghuvamsha. Raghuvamsha is by Kalidas. So Kalidas is a poet who takes down the Puranas and the Itihasas and then present in the form of a kavya, a poetry. So kavyas are actually a subset within the Itihasas. Kavyas cannot be called as Puranas, but they are categorized in the format of Itihasas. Like that, there are many Itihasas, but in the format of a Kavya. That is what we understand. Ah. So, is the study of Mahabharata recommended for devotees? If so, how much is much relevant to us? A very good question. Now, is study of Mahabharata recommended for devotees? What is the meaning of Mahabharata? Mahatvatsa, Bharatvatsa, Mahabharata. Now, on the one side, all the Vedas were kept, and on the other side, Mahabharata was kept in the weighing pan. We call it tarazu or a balance. Then what happened? Mahabharata was more heavier than the Vedas. That is why it became Mahabharata. So devotees definitely should read Mahabharata, but only those in this group, better they memorize one verse. Arthoyam Brahma Sutranam Bharatartha Vinayah Gayatri Bhasharuposo Vedartha Paribhumritaha. So this verse is a very interesting verse. Many of you must be knowing this verse. In that verse, which talks about the glory of Bhagavatam, it says that Arthoyam Brahmasutranam Bharatartha Vinirinayaha. The meaning of the Mahabharata has been defined in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is why when your consciousness is established in the conclusions of the Bhagavatam, then Mahabharata is very wonderful. Otherwise, I'll give it in writing. By reading Mahabharata, you will be confused and you become a madman. That is why Sripad Madhvacharya had to come. The same Bhima had to come and then write one book called Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya. In that, one of the important points it says is, since my mind is established in the lotus feet of Vasudeva, that means he is actually talking about my mind is established in Srimad Bhagavatam. I am able to give a commentary on Mahabharata. Otherwise, what Mahabharata does not contain, because it contains so many teachings for different levels of people. So if you don't know, it will be a big confusion for all of us. It is a Dharma Shastra, it is a Niti Shastra, Rajaniti Shastra, Vatuniti Shastra, and also Stri Dharma Shastra. So many. So you cannot outrightly reject, say, we don't require to study Bhagavatam. Yes, we don't require to study Mahabharata. We cannot say that. Because Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharata. And Bhagavad Gita is the real sacrifice, and Mahabharata is a prelude to Bhagavad Gita. That is actually Upakarma. There is, when you do any sacrifice, there is Purvanga Priya. There are certain things. You take bath and go to puja. That doesn't mean puja is more important. You just directly go and do the puja and go in the altar. No, for that you have to take bath. So Mahabharata is actually a Purvanga Priya for Bhagavad Gita. That is why Mahabharata has to be read under proper guidance, especially after your mind is fixed up in the Bhagavata conclusions, so that you can explain Mahabharata without deviating from the principles of pure devotional service as established in Bhagavatam. Otherwise, why this verse has to be there? Bharata Artha Vinirana. The Artha of Bhagavatam has been Vishesha Rupena Niranayatmakaha Rupena. It has been clearly established in Bhagavatam. So that is why without studying Bhagavatam, establishing your mind in Bhagavatam, studying Mahabharata is digging your own grave. So now, what is the difference between Shruti and Smriti? First, a very basic question for a person who is doing Bhakti Vaibhav, but still, since you are beginning, I would like to explain that. Shruti are the original four Vedas. Rig, Yajur, Ved, Atharva, Sama, Atharva. So these are called the Shruti, which are understood by just hearing. They will not change in their swara and krama in eternity to come, in any kalpa, in any universe. Whereas Smriti means something which comes out of the memory of the sage. Like for example, somebody wants to get married to a beautiful wife. He will approach a Brahmin, a Rishi. A Rishi, he collects all the different sections in the Vedas from his memory and then gives him a special scripture. Practice these things by which you will get a beautiful wife. So that is called Smriti, the thing which has come out from the consciousness of a sage after assimilating all the Vedic literatures. Like, what are the Smritis? The 18 Puranas are Smritis. Itihasas are Smritis. The Pancharatra are Smritis. The Vedangas, they are Smritis. These are all written by the sages. The thing which is coming from the consciousness, from the memory of a sage, that is called Smriti. So next, what are the contents of the Vedas, and why Vedas don't tell us so clearly Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Puranas like Padma Purana, Bhagavad Purana, Itihasas, etc. tell? Is it possible for someone to come to the conclusion of Krishna consciousness as Krishna Supreme Personality of Godhead without the help of Puranas? Good question. Why Vedas don't say it directly? Because the description of any person is always in two ways. One is indirect, other is direct. Now, both are required. Both are required. Why? Because there are many reasons. I want to highlight few reasons only. One is a simple understanding. If I had to describe a brahmachari who is having saffron, I had to say there was one way of describing. One who is not wearing white dress, one who is not having pant and shirt, one who is not having hair on his head. So these are all descriptions of the brahmachari only, but they are all negative descriptions. You may say why it is required so? Because if there are only positive descriptions about Krishna in the Vedas, that is, who is Krishna, then in the Vedas, Krishna is to describe Krishna as having a beautiful face. His eyes are so wonderful. Then, what will people start thinking? Oh, are the eyes of Krishna as good as my eyes? Or in another sense, they say, oh, Krishna's eyes are more beautiful than my eyes. So naturally, they start comparing Krishna's eyes with us. That is why there should be an indirect description to establish Krishna doesn't have eyes, Krishna doesn't have nose, Krishna doesn't have hands and legs. That means what? He doesn't have a hand and leg like you. He doesn't have eyes like you. You have. So he is transcendental. So the first reason for establishing Krishna, the Supreme Lord, in an indirect way is to establish his transcendental nature. Number one. Number two, that is something which is very confidential, cannot be just spoken to everyone. Like for example, a young boy loves a young girl, and he goes on telling, I love her, I love her, I love her. Then actually there is no love for her, love which he has for her. It is only just lip service. Something confidential has to be spoken indirectly. This is the second reason. The third reason is rasa. Of course, it is more there in the kavya, but even the most unkavya format called Veda also has a kavya in it. Kavya means, I don't know what is the exact word for, there's only one word for literature, that's all. Novel. What do you say these days, novels? Kavyatmaka. You take Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the very first verse, it is actually talking about Krishna, but not talking about Krishna. It is actually talking about moon. If you take the first verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that is Akila Rasamrita Murtihi, Vasimara Ruchirutta, Taraka Palihi, Lalita Shamalito, Kalita Shamalito, Radha Priyan Vidura Jayati, Vidura Jayati. Vidu is most popular name of moon. The first words of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is actually glorifying moon, not Krishna. Directly. Because always indirect descriptions increases the rasa. So one is to establish transcendence. The second is confidentiality. The third is rasa. Even what to speak of Bhakti Rasamrita is the very Bhagavatam what we are studying. The first words of Bhagavatam, does it talk about Krishna? Is the name of Krishna mentioned? It says Satyam Param Dhimahi. Who is that Satya? For that you have to read the entire Bhagavatam to find out at the end Param Pranamami Hari Param. If that last words would have not been there, there is a huge scope for people to get confused even after studying Bhagavatam whether Krishna is God or not. So, what to speak of that? There's a big confusion among great scholars. Which Bhagavatam is Bhagavatam? Whether it is Daivi Bhagavatam is Bhagavatam or this Bhagavatam is Bhagavatam. So, so in this way, there are so many differences. I don't know what is the difference in the Shruti and Smriti? Told you what are the contents of the Vedas and why they, why Vedas don't tell so clearly. So, what are the contents of the Vedas? Oh, it's a very long question to answer. I'll take up the question tomorrow. What are the contents of the Vedas? I'll talk about it. Please hold the question for tomorrow. Next, those who want to ask question can unmute and ask question. People
Hare
say
Krishna.
because
Kamalochan
Smriti
Prabhu.
has been written by sages, it cannot be equal to Smriti. How to refute it? Okay. Even the Vedas, if you see the Vedas, all the Vedic verses or the mantras are revealed by the sages only. Rishayaha mantra rishtaraha. That is first point. So you cannot have Veda without sage without Veda. Now, the same Veda, I just spoke about this, remember this verse. The only answer which you can give to those people who say this is, this mantra from the Chandogya Upanishad, 7.1.4. Nama va Rigvedo Yajurvedah Samaveda Tarvano Chaturtadaha Itihasa Purana Panchamo Vedanam. So when the original Veda is telling the Itihasas or Puranas or Panchama Veda, what is the problem? So the very Pramana, what he is quoting as perfect, the same Pramana accepts Puranas and Veda and Itihasas as Panchama Veda. What is the problem? So for such a person, this is the very and the most appropriate answer. If this mantra would have not been in the Chandogya Upanishad, I'm telling you, it would have been very difficult for us to refute such arguments. So note these words, Chandogya Upanishad 7.1.4. Next question. If Smritis are coming from sages, how are they Apaurishaya? Same question. Now, the sages, I've answered this question in the previous question. Even the Vedic mantras are revealed through the sages only. Now, revelation, when it comes to the sages, as it is or in his own words, what does it matter? Both same. Like for example, now many grahasthas are attending this class. Now after the class, maybe a small daughter, 6-7-year-old daughter, would ask the mummy, what did you hear? Please tell, please tell. Is she going to repeat exactly what I is told? No, she has memorized it, she has assimilated it, and then she would tell the same thing without changing the content in such a way that the child will understand. So this is very much allowed. So Rishi, when you say Rishi, when the mantras revealed through him, if that can be Apaurishaya, mantras digested by him and spoken for the benefit of the mankind by which the mankind can understand, simple people can understand, how cannot be they called Apaurishaya? That is argument. Because in the Vedas also, all the mantras, most of the mantras, 90% of the mantras, they are all revealed through a sage. In the Vedas also there is a discussion between a disciple and a sage, teacher. The teacher speaks, the disciple asks. So, Rishayaha mantra drishtaraha. But mantras, when they chant, realize, and then from their, when I say memory, it is not the memory of the computer, it is their realization. Considering the time, place, and circumstance, considering the argument, audience, when they speak it out, the Paurushya nature is more mercifully manifest in the Puranas and Itihasas. So if they consider the sage to be Apaurushaya, who revealed the Veda, then the same sage is revealing the Puranas. And this verse 7.1.4 is the Brahmastra for such questions. Now, why the description of Krishna as Supreme Person not directly mentioned in the Vedas and also about Radharani? I had told about it. Srila Vishnu Thakur says in one of the commentaries that if you have a lamp, then if you just expose the lamp to the wind, the lamp blows away. Very should always be covered. Then it blooms. Especially love between Radha and Krishna, Radha Krishna Prema. It has to be, it is very confidential. So 3 reasons I already mentioned about it that you can contemplate on it. Could you explain nicely about Yuga Sandhya? 10% would be, you please elaborate on these. Was an overlap of the 28th round, 3rd millennium appeared prior to the 2nd, etc. Of course, there is one instance which talks about this thing. In the 28th millennium, that is Adya Brahmane Titi Pararthe Shvitoraha Kalpaiva Sutaman Mantare. So in every beginning from the time of Brahma's birth, if you want to tell what is the time now, you say, oh, it is 120. But actually, you have to start. When did time start? The time, what we are seeing, which has past, present, and future, it started from the birth of Brahma. Adya Brahmane. 50 years of Brahmas have passed. 51st day of Brahma is going on. In that, he's now for Brahma, it is almost like 11:30, 11:45, something like that. That is the time of Brahma going on. And in that time of Brahma, already 6 Manus have passed. 7th Manu is going on now. Aivasat Manu. In that 7th Manu, 28th cycle, Ashtavimshati Chaturyuge, 28th cycle is going on. In that 28th cycle, Kali Yuga is going on. In that Kali Yuga, Pratama Charane, first Bhaga is going on. Now, it is said in this Yuga, first there was Treta, and then first there was Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. See, Dwa means 2. That is second. Generally, after Satyuga there is Dwapara Yuga, after Dwapara Yuga there is Treta Yuga, and after Treta Yuga there is Kali Yuga. But specifically this time, it so happened that these yugas got interchanged. Of course, there are many stories behind the interchange of the yugas. One of the stories is I heard about is Ahalya. Ahalya, the story happened in Satyuga that Indra, Avesha was on Gautama, and Gautama and Ahalya had, though they were very elderly, they had a son, Vishatananda, who is a great rishi and is a minister in the sage in the court of Vishwamitra, court of Janaka. So what happened? They felt lusty. He felt lusty desire. In the morning itself, just imagine, early morning, he's going for his Sandhya, take bath, the river. He felt so lusty and came, and then he had association with his own wife. It is not Indra came in disguise and other stories. Ramayana doesn't talk about things like that. So at that time, Ahalya, we know, she voluntarily became this body which has become so contaminated. I just don't want this body. So she just stayed in a farm which is having no body and near the ashes. The ashes are thrown near the stone. She became a stone, nothing like that in Valmiki Ramayana. Chitra came and then and she became Ahalya. So what happens? Ahalya started praying. I want to wait till Ramchandra comes. Ramsara is going to come in Treta Yuga. After Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga comes. So let there be change in the yugas. So this is one of the stories which I heard. The change of yuga. Of course, this is there. It's also clearly mentioned by the Acharya that there was yuga sandhya. There was a change. Yuga sandhya was going on, which lapsed. Okay, next. You know, from the Tattva Sandarbha, Vyasa wrote a shorter version of Bhagavatam first, then expanded to come up with the current version of Bhagavatam. Why did Vyasa write 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam after Sutta spoke to sages or beforehand only, as if seeing the future? Now we should know that Vyasa, he was contemplating on Bhagavatam right for some time. When he wrote the Bhagavatam, he wrote that version of Bhagavatam which was spoken by Sutta Goswami to the sages of Naimisharanya. Now, originally, Bhagavatam is a subject. It is not a verse. It is not a collection of verses. Bhagavatam is knowledge. Is jnanam, rasajnanam. You should be very clear about it. Bhagavatam is rasajnanam. It can be one word. It can be one alphabet. It can be one word. It can be one verse. It can be 4 verses. It can be 10 billion verses. Now, Yamaraj has the highest Bhagavatam, the biggest Bhagavatam. He's got 1 million verses. So, Vyasa thought that the Bhagavatam which was spoken by Sutta Goswami to sages of Naimisharanya, that is a very appropriate version of Bhagavatam for the people in the age of Kali at present. Otherwise, the Bhagavatam spoken by Krishna to Brahma, only 4 verses. Of course, again, he had spoken in 4 verses. It's all coming in the future. In second canto it comes. In second canto, Brahma spoke to Narada. That goes to around almost few chapters, or 200 verses approximately. And Narada spoke the same Bhagavatam to Vyasa. That goes to 2 chapters, which we are going to do now. The whole subject matter, what we are going to do in the next 2 chapters, is about the appearance of Bhagavatam. So, if somebody wants to really understand the appearance of Bhagavatam, the technical question which you asked, you need to study the Tattva Sandarbha very nicely. As you are told in the class, in this question, says as if seeing the future. Yes, it is true. That is why Kritvanu Atmajam. If you go to the 7th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, this is very clearly mentioned that Vyasa, after hearing to Narada, what he did was Kritvanu Anukramya means he took the Bhagavatam which was originally written by him and rearranged the Bhagavatam according to the teachings of which he received from Narada. So if you see this verse, Kritvanu Yasyam Vaishvemanayam Krishne Paramapurushe, and then after that Sasamhitam Bhagavatim Kritvanu Atmajam 1.7.8. So this is the verse where it is clearly mentioned. First, Vyasa had made a abbreviated scripture about Bhagavatam, and then, on the advice of Narada, he rearranged it, purified it, and gave prominence to Bhakti to Krishna, Bhakti and Krishna. So this is how this verse is answer for your question. And in 1.4.13, Sri Prabhupada says, realization more important than part like chanting. Does that mean should only speak what we realize, or can we repeat words of acharyas even if we are not realized? Okay. Let us come out of this psychological defect of seeing black and white. Realization, no realization. So we are in the process of realization. So we are in the process. What we should do is we just go on repeating, but it should be a conscious repeating. There is a difference between parrot-like repeating, parrot-like repeating, like the Prabhupada says, parrot-like chanting, and conscious chanting. So this conscious chanting gives you realization. Parrot-like chanting doesn't give realization. And we are very, very realized about it. We know how good is our chanting. Early morning we are chanting 16 rounds every day. So parrot-like chanting will not give realization. Of course, we'll give some benefit. See, getting some benefit is always there anyhow. But conscious chanting. That is why we have these 10 offenses, not to avoid 10 offenses. We sincerely chant. It's a chant with devotees who are very sincere. In this way, that is a conscious chanting which gives realization. Now, here when you are talking about speaking, you should speak or repeat what has been spoken with acharyas. Number one. Number two, we should know I can only influence the other person by my speech to the extent of my realization. So both should be done. It is not that you don't speak. You speak because we are supposed to repeat. Remember that words. The qualification of speaker is what? That he should have heard it many times and spoken it many times. And how will realization come without hearing and chanting? So we go on hearing and chanting, but at the same time, our chanting should be conscious. It cannot be an unconscious chanting. It should not be a parrot-like chanting without knowing the purpose of our chanting. The purpose of chanting is to please Krishna. That is actually consciousness behind chanting. The purpose of chanting is to please Krishna. Tat priyartham. Prinaye. Krishna prinaye. When we chant, we are doing as an offering to Krishna, to please Krishna. But the Vedic, the Karmakandi Pandits, they just chant for the sake of chanting. I have to do my karma. So that is the difference between karma and bhakti. In karma, the stress is on proper pronunciation of the mantra and the perfection of the ritual. In bhakti, the stress is on the purpose of doing this to please Krishna. That doesn't mean we don't chant properly. We should learn how to chant properly. The Vedic mantras or the Bhagavatam mantras or Bhagavad Gita mantras, shlokas, we should learn to chant properly. So we should neither go to the extreme of saying, oh, Bhavagrai Janadana, I can just do without chanting, I just have to realize and speak. On the other way, yes, no, only we should know perfect chanting, that's all. But not well. Interesting clearly means that they are given the responsibility to protect, and the protection happens only through propagation. That is how when a guru he gives